Hey, Charles.
Yes.
We're live, Charles.
Hello, everybody.
We are
Hello.
live, Charles.
Yes, yes, yes. We are alive. We are live. We are alive. Today is Friday.
Aloha Friday, everybody. Hope you guys' Friday is going well.
Yep. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Now, aloha, everyone. This is Uncle Charlie with Uncle Mel. Today is the 29th Monday. I'd like to welcome you all here to Facebook Live, coming to you from parts unknown. And I
You
am.
got that right, man. I know where I stay. I stay like in the Sahara Desert right now.
I like to show everybody my shirt. You remember when we had the Kupuna program, gang? Yeah. Can you see that?
Where e Kupuna?
Okay. It's We Are Kapuna. But it's Where E Kupuna. Here, only here on Mel and Charlie Live.
Yes, Marlise, I did get your payment. Thank you. Thank you. You are live. Yeah, see, when I say you are live, that means we got to behave now.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is my shirt. Wile E. Coyote. You know, Kirk Correa, the generous owner of Island Athletic Tees, he's the story. Donated all the shirts and everything for a nice $6,200 donation to Hawaii Community Foundation through the sales of his T-shirt. He delivered this to my wife today, Wile E. Coyote, and he delivered your Where E. Kapuna. I remember seeing this Wile E. Coyote at one of the shows, and for the life of me, I cannot remember why, or when, or what. I gotta go ask Kirk for. But I remember you laughing a lot when I said it. So I think that must have triggered
Yeah.
Kirk into making a new shirt.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
anyway, welcome everybody. Aloha Monday to all of you. Thank you guys for joining us. I know we look now they like buy the shirt. Charlie, I like that shirt. I don't think
We're
that one's
done.
for sale. That one's just for Charles. That is just for him.
But Kurt said he can make anything for anybody. So if you want to
That's
wear
right.
E Kupuna, I'll give you the address, for Where E Kupuna. Here's the address. In fact, you can email him at right here. There you go.
That's the
Korea.
one. Korea K002 at hawaii.rr.com. Or you can just message him on Facebook. He get, Kirk Korea on Facebook. You can send him a private message. For all of our other shirts, 808-tees.myshopify.com. And you can order your shirts right there. And new designs are forthcoming, I am told. So it's kind of exciting. Thank you guys all for getting the shirts and wearing it, not just buying them, but wearing it. I see them around now in the community. It's a thrill for me. It's a thrill. So anyway, tonight's show, we have state representatives Gene Ward and Bob McDermott. We've had them on before, but they're going to be talking about a couple of things. There is that gut and replace bill that's going through the legislature, giving the director of health the authority to make decisions during pandemic. So we're going to wait for them to come on, and I think we'll have some very animated discussions. Also, I want to ask them about this whole thing about the airports, the one test screening process. The whole state, the whole country, a lot of the states are blowing up right now. And as I watch the newscasts, whatever channel you watch, KITV, KHNL, KGMB, whatever it is, whatever I'm watching, and when they're showing all the states on the mainland, I gotta believe that I don't think the state leaders are watching these stories that's happening in the other states. It's horrific. They interviewed a doctor today from Arizona, and my heart is broken listening to him talk about how the first responders, these doctors and nurses that are treating these patients, basically at capacity, medical resources are at capacity, and how close they are to just breaking down because of what they're seeing every day. They're going home at night with broken hearts because people are so sick. One nurse came on and said, or one doctor came on and said that one of the patients begged her not to put him on the machine because he knows once you go on the machine, the chance of survival is very, very low. And she's telling this story, and all I can think about is our people watching this? Is our governor watching the news at night? Is our director of health watching the news at night? Because now when I watch the governor and the decision makers at our state level, the only thing on their mind is opening up. I mean, there's like no reference to what's happening on the outside. It's almost hard to believe, and that bothers me. And we were talking about this earlier, Charlie. The bus situation, the Honolulu bus, right?
Yep.
For a long time, Charlie, for probably going on 4 months now, and all of you know this, all of you that watch our show, you know this. Charlie has been advocating at the top of his lungs about why can't the state share the locations of these clusters, the locations of where these little outbreaks are happening from day one. And every time we asked somebody in leadership, they told us it was a HIPAA, protect privacy, blah, 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 whenever Charlie asked the question. Now, if you've been following the bus driver case on Oahu, it didn't take long. All of the routes that this guy drove was publicized. Every single route that driver drove on Oahu, from Eva Beach to Honolulu to looks like he did the Circle Island tour run as well. All of those were broadcasted live on the news, in the newspaper, on the radio, every place. Now, that's a good thing. Charlie, that's what you've been asking for since day one.
Yep.
And we've been constantly told you cannot, you're gonna ostracize the people, blah, blah, privacy, HIPAA, bull crap. What is the difference, Charlie? And then you can answer. What is the difference between telling the world that all of these bus routes that a driver tested positive drove on, what is the difference between that and telling the people what funeral home did the cluster come from on Oahu? What complex did the clusters on Kauai come from? What remember when the Kona McDonald's clusters came up? All hush hush, right? The media pounded them on the press conference live. Why can't you tell us? Why can't you tell us? Then they finally said it. But now with the city and county of Honolulu as being the source, right? The bus is, although it's managed by a private company, it's a city and county bus system. The employees are county employees. Within an hour of they coming out and saying that the driver was positive, all of the routes revealed. All of the routes. Now, what is the difference, Charlie? That's my question to you.
The difference, technically, there is a scientific reasoning for the difference. The difference is they are promoting the routes because it came from the city and county of Honolulu. When we get denied access to know where it happens, it's because I asked the question. That's the difference. Plain and simple. It didn't come from them, because if it came from them, they'll be tooting their horns. Now, let me take it one step further. Remember about testing, right? Here you don't know whether the bus driver himself had the virus and now is coming in contact with passengers, or a passenger gave him the virus. It makes a difference. So you don't know. But what they are allowing is they're opening up all the health clinics on Oahu and saying, if you want to get tested, you have go in and get tested. You just have to tell them what route you was on. Even if you wasn't on that route, go get tested. They're going to give you one test. So I think what we're trying to say is, you know, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. That's been our theme, right? What's good for one is good for all. But apparently there's this miscommunication. What's good for Honolulu, City County, Honolulu, ain't good enough for Kauai. I mean, that's the bottom line.
There is absolutely no difference in sharing. And again, don't get me wrong, because I want to commend the health department and the city and county of Honolulu for releasing those bus routes. I want to commend the city and county of Honolulu for telling anyone that had possibly went on that bus routes that they have free testing, no symptoms required. That's how it should be. That's how it should be for everyone here on Kauai. Today we saw rumors about for the last couple of weeks, we've seen all the rumors about Koloa landing. All the rumors, everybody. I heard somebody said, they said, she said, he said.
Yep.
Everybody was convinced. And I went back to my post and I said, hey, you know, there's been no identification or no notification of where these cases are. And again, this is why it's important for the State Department of Health to release the general area of where the clusters are. You know, just say it's in XYZ housing complex, wherever it is. I don't care. Lihue, Kapa, Koloa. It doesn't matter. At least you quell the rumors. And that's what I'm saying. What they did with the bus is that's what should be done in every single case that a positive person or a person tests positive for COVID, so that everyone knows that if you were possibly exposed, you can go get a test. I still hear the horror stories about people still not being able to get tests. I don't care what Dr. Berman says. I don't care what she says. It's still a process to go get a test. And all I'm saying is that the way they're handling the city bus in Honolulu, the way they're handling that case is how it should be handled on every case. We still don't know. I mean, a lot of people know now through friends and family where the Kauai cases not originated, but where the people were living. But it didn't come from the Department of Health. It didn't come from the county because of this privacy. Well, all of a sudden it's okay because the city and county probably looking at possibly getting sued. So they're going to do everything they can now to damage control. But at the end of the day, what they're doing is the right thing to do. They just haven't done it with any of the other clusters unless the media pounded, because the public's been asking for a long, long time and they just shut us down. So interesting how that thing developed out today.
Well, let's just remember one thing. We try to quell the rumors only because it becomes counterproductive. One of the rumors here on Kauai says that it started from a certain resort. I mean, it's all over Facebook. I just want to let the people know now. No, it couldn't have. And if you're saying, well, why is that? It's because I have the security contract for that resort. I know the security protocol. If we did have someone on that resort that was being isolated because of COVID, or they're being quarantined because of COVID, we get notified, the security department. Nobody goes in or out of the property, especially at night. We control the access. So we know for a fact, I can say, I know for a fact, it didn't start from them. So I just hope this puts the rumors to rest, because I think it becomes counterproductive when we try to get information to you folks, and then the information is scattered all over the Coconut Wireless airwaves, right? We want to make it as simple as possible. Again, what Mel is saying, that we should have a process that is very simple. That because if you think about it, what the city and county of Honolulu is doing now is making the job a hell of a lot easier for the contact tracers. Because anybody that goes and get tested, it's easy to document them and trace them and get whatever information. That's why here, I mean, I feel sorry for the contact tracers on Kauai because they're scratching at things that maybe they're scratching in the wrong areas. They got to get some kind of guidance. You got to get some kind of guidance, and they got to push hard. Now, someone wrote today and said that person has a lot of experience, like an investigator. Yeah, contact tracer is like an investigator, and you got to know how to push all the right questions, and you got to know how to ask the hard questions, because sometimes emotions are going to be played on you because a person is being emotionally overwhelmed. Well, you got to get to the bottom of it so you can put a stop to the spread. That's all to it. And sometimes you got to be a little harsh. Nobody said the job was going to be easy. So.
Well, I just hope they again utilize what they just did with the city and county bus for all future cases. Can you imagine all the people on Oahu right now that participated in a funeral on Oahu, and they get this, 17 people from one funeral. Now, they don't tell you what funeral home or when. So everybody that participated in a funeral, regardless of when or where it was, are at home thinking, oh my God, was that the place? Oh, no worry. If you were contacted, the health department going to let you know. That's providing someone remembered that you were at the funeral that is in question, rather than just say, if you were at the Raposo mortuary or the Raposo funeral home on Saturday between 9 and 1, please contact the State Department of Health at this number. Then the contact tracers can do their work. So again, if you're serious about this, talk to investigators, talk to people who do this for a living, not health people. Leave the health work to the health professionals. Leave the contact tracing investigation to investigation professionals. That's all I'm suggesting. But anyway, Charles, we have our guests in the waiting room, and I'm going to bring them in right now.
Yep.
And we will welcome Representative Gene Ward and Representative Bob McDermott. Look at Gene's recliner. Ooh, nice, white. Just missing Gene. And there's Mr. McDermott, Representative McDermott, connecting to audio. He should be with us in a couple of seconds. There he is.
Hi, Mel.
Hey. Aloha, sir. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Mel and Charlie show. It's been a while. A lot of stuff's been happening, man.
Yeah, and last time I did it on my phone, so it was really hard for me.
Well, it's much better. You're not going to run out of battery on us tonight, huh?
No,
okay. It was my phone. We missed you, man. What is Charlie up there? Gene.
Charles, you're a retired police officer, correct?
Yeah.
So we want to talk about that police bill they pulled up. Today, it might die a death of benign neglect. But what happened was we came back right after the Charles Floyd thing, George Floyd. And they pulled out a bill to make the police officers' names public, disciplinary. And they said they're no different than the Board of Water Supply clerk number 2. Well, they are, right? You put your life on the line every day. And it came up, and it's supposed to be, we're supposed to vote on it again, and it's kind of disappeared. So I don't know if they're going to hold it or what. But now we went from the outrage or the murder of that man to now police are targets all over the mainland, right? So the context has changed. And I just wonder, as a former officer, how you feel about the violence against police in the street and all that stuff.
Well, when you first get hired into the department, you're expected to take a level of punishment from the general public. And the courts have ruled that we're held to a higher standard. But I think what you're seeing across the nation is totally beyond that, beyond anything you can ever imagine. That's just downright nasty. And for the people that's marching for this Lives Matter, I think they're hurting their message because they're taking the message and they're scattering it all over the place and not being rude, target specific what they're after. And if you're after for a change, I see it this way. If you had 50 police departments across 50 states and you got 20 that are bad eggs, you change the 20. You don't change all 50. Because if the other 30 has a proven method, you basically you basically got a really good department when you do that. And that's my only fear. That's my only fear.
I just, Mel, I'll throw it back to you. I just remember that Charlie was a police officer, and I wanted didn't want to forget that, because it looks like somebody, as you know, Mel, being in the legislative body, it looks like somebody just reached into their top desk drawer and grabbed the first anti-HPD bill they could find, and hey, let's react. But now it's 2 weeks later, and as Charlie said, the whole context and message has changed. It's violence now against the police.
Well, you know, I come from a unique place because I too served as a police officer on Kauai.
I didn't know that. How many years?
Yeah, 12 years.
Okay,
And
I didn't know that. I apologize.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that. So I've seen it from that side, working on the street, dealing with a certain level of, obviously, Charlie and I were cops back in the 80s when the level of respect for police officers was much higher than it is today. But then I also see it from the legislative side, who typically, and you know this, Bob, politicians have this unique ability to have these knee-jerk reactions to a crisis. So whenever something happens, it's who can go dig up that old bill quick and revive the old bill. And I've seen that with my own eyes as well, without really thinking about it. And that's kind of what we're seeing in the world, in the legislative worlds of involving the criminal justice system. And it's sad because we all know that the vast majority of police officers are good, solid people that are there for the right reasons. And in any industry, in any profession, there are some bad ones. Rather than focus the energies on getting rid of all the bad cops, and I am one, and Charlie and I have this discussion a lot, the cop should be treated to a higher standard. If a cop takes someone else's life without justification, that cop should suffer a higher level of punishment than the civilian. That's just how we feel. That's how good cops feel. And that's simply what wasn't done. Now it's, defunding police, getting rid of police departments.
As two guys who served in uniform, what was going through that officer's head, Shelvin or Kelvin, with his knee on Floyd for 8 minutes? What was going through his mind? I'm watching, I'm like, you're killing the guy. You're killing. I had tears in my eyes when I saw it. Tears came down because I'm watching a murder on TV.
Yeah, we watched it live. I honestly cannot explain what was going through his mind. I would like to think that he was caught up in the moment and didn't realize what he was doing. But I cannot come to that conclusion because everyone heard this guy begging for his life. Everyone heard him telling the officers that he couldn't breathe.
And the people in the street.
I mean, and Charlie and I will tell you that many times people will say things like that. Oh, you're hurting me. Oh, yeah. But in this case, if you watch from the beginning, and Charlie and I has analyzed that video from the beginning to the end, anyone can tell you that that person was creating no harm or danger to the officers. Zero. He was subdued. He was handcuffed. There were enough cops there. So I cannot answer that question. I just don't know, and he needs to pay the price.
Go ahead, Charlie.
When you get a situation like that, I shared with Mel, I said, number one, we're trained we apply the pressure until all threat ceases. It was pretty evident that once he was handcuffed behind his back, the threat is neutralized.
Yeah.
Now, you said, you can get hurt from kicking. Sure you can. But you got to be a damn fool as a cop to stand right there and get kicked.
Yeah.
Because he's in a very uncomfortable position. If I were to stand and move away, and this is Monday night quarterbacking, and people say, hey, you're quarterbacking this thing. All I'm saying is, if I step away from the body, that body's not going to hurt me. Right. I think that's what should have happened. But another thing came up about, because once the bracelets go on the person, we have to ensure the safety of that person. So that means that if he stopped breathing, you got to make every single attempt to perform life-saving measures, which I didn't see none. That was the thing that baffled me the most. I was like, whoa, they're not even.
And he had the other three guys there with him. Now, I guess they were all rookies, but why didn't they stop? I couldn't imagine that being allowed to happen in Hawaii. And what I mean by that is somebody on the street, some big brother would just run in there and knock him off. The guy just knock him. Now he would get arrested too at the scene, but I just don't think we'd stand by and watch him snuff his life out.
Yep, exactly.
You know?
It's a tough call, but it's I wouldn't say it's the culture, but it almost seems that way. That part of the U.S. It seems to be a culture of theirs, and like Mel and I talked this many times. You're gonna see more and more in Hawaii. Well, I'll tell you this: on Maui, when I first started, my beat was first in Kahului, and then if they're short-handed up in Ulupalakua, you drive out Reina Bugalele, it's just you by yourself. That's how police work was back then. It wasn't this kind of 5-6 guys go. It didn't happen that way.
Yeah, before we let Gene on here, one last thing I want to notice: as your culture, our culture.
Sorry. I just wanted to introduce you to my cool buddy over here, Nui.
Oh,
Say hi,
hey, Nui, your grandson?
Look up here. No, he's actually he's one of my and when I coach football, so one of my colleagues, and that's his son. His kid. How old are you, Nui?
3.
He's only 3 years old.
Oh,
He's gonna be big.
And remember his name, Nui, because he will be a professional football player. This guy's a tank. Give us. All right, buddy.
He is big.
Oh, there's Gene.
Hey, sorry guys. My subculture says Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is jogging 3 miles before you do anything in the evening. Sorry, I'm a little bit late.
No problem. Welcome, and thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate it. We're just having some pretty cool discussions right now.
We're finishing up, G. We're talking about our local culture and how our police and justice system here are really a myriad of the rainbow, right? We have every race, color, creed represented in the judiciary, in the police officers, occasionally we'll have some people come and this was probably 4 years ago. Some fellow from the UH was saying we had a systemically racist judicial system here in Hawaii, and I was on the Judiciary Committee. I'm married to a Samoan, and he was saying the Polynesians, the Samoans, and Hawaiians get locked up the most, right? And I had to bite my tongue, and I said, well, who are the racist judges? Tell me their name. Tell me the racist cop's name, the police officer who racist. I just don't see it. Maybe these folks are committing the crimes, and I haven't seen that since then. But and I've seen the way HPD dealt with my son. He's an MMA fighter. He was 18-0 in the local MMA. Then he got married and his career stopped. But big, buff, off-Kasi, half white, half Samoan, yoked 260-pound guy. Had the fro out, and he was on the street and he was drunk and he was pounding the cars. So the cops come and they say, Mr. McDermott, you have a choice. You can take him in the house or we're going to take him to jail. Well, that was Joey. I mean, he was out there doing that and we took him in the house. We got him in the house. But that's what you guys used to deal with, right? So you tried to diffuse it. Hey, true story. Now I'll stop talking.
Hey, Marine. Hey, yeah, we're all minorities. By the way, I have an international house also. My wife is from Malaysia and my daughter's from China. Does that make us whatever? Well, Hawaii is different. Have you guys seen the op-ed? Don't touch the King Kamehameha statue.
Yes.
You've seen that. I just wrote it. I only wrote it last night. No, I was pulling your leg actually, but
no, I didn't see your article, but I saw the story that people were talking about removing the Kamehameha statue. I didn't see your op-ed, no.
Well, actually, I just penned it last night. It's going to go to the neighborhood board tomorrow. I'll get a feel for what it is, but hey, this is something that we got to be a Me Too. Everything has got to rewrite history. And some of the monuments they're pulling down are really contrary to what they're actually supposedly believing in. George Floyd has been forgotten long in the historical past. It's very unfortunate.
Right. It's horrible. It's horrible. That's the thing. I mean, we again, Charlie and I, because of the background in law enforcement, you think about, we of course support the civil protesting, the right to protest, the right of speech. We definitely, I know myself, and I'm sure Charlie has been part of many, as police officers, at plenty of demonstrations here on Kauai, whether it was PMRF or Nukuli, all of these things that happen, peaceful demonstrations. It was actually pretty exciting to work those, but they are not doing that. When you're rioting and beating people up and killing people and breaking stuff and burning police cars and flipping cars up, how can you even remotely associate that with civil protesting? It's thugs. It's
That's the
punks,
anarchy,
crooks,
and that's
and
the rebellion.
they need to be put in prison. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's just how I feel.
and Bob, it makes you and I look bad. If we're leaders, I mean, all of you guys, Mel and Charlie, if we're leaders, we're supposed to act on this in terms of enforcing the law. And a lot of the leaders are sitting on their hands or not doing anything. And it makes leadership look, what a bunch of wimps. We don't know what we're doing. But here's the bottom line, Mel. The best thing that can come out of this, and this is where we've always survived from the civil rights issues, from the Civil War to all of the issues with segregation, etc. Democracy is self-correcting. Democracy is self-correcting. If you got a problem, you bring it through the system. You don't go and tear down stuff and burn stuff up. You bring it through the system, you get guys elected, and you change it. Not the way that they're doing it in the anarcho way. And quite frankly, some of the connections they've got to the communists is quite frankly shocking. It's hard to believe, actually.
Yeah.
Gene, prior to your arrival, we talked about that police officer bill in the top desk. Chris Lee found in the top desk drawer somewhere.
I wonder what we're going to vote on next week.
Yeah, and here's the difference. With it, if the Board of Water Supply clerk number 2 gets in trouble, they get in trouble. They want a report of all the police officers at the end of the year, and then it goes to the media. And then the guy's not only been punished once, depending on what he did, suspended or whatever. Now he's publicly shamed because his name is in the paper as a no good scumbag officer. Here he is. Well, we don't know the details of the situation, but it's going to get put in a report. So they are being treated differently than everyone else because their names are going to go to the advertiser, and they're going to, it's guaranteed a story.
We appreciate leaders like you folks that actually support law enforcement, the good law enforcement. Chief Ballard came out and says, "Yeah, we don't have that kind of issues in Honolulu Police Department." Right. And, as opposed to some of the chiefs on the mainland that got on their knees or yeah. No, you like I said, you support the good cops and you get rid of the bad ones. That's what leaders do.
Well, did they teach anything about the neck and the torso and to leave that alone? Was this guy poorly trained, or he just broke training in terms of the way he got the knee on the neck? What's the training on? Or Charlie, did they train you guys to do that or not to do that?
Well, when we were trained, and we also got trained by the feds, carotid control was to cut off not the windpipe, it's to cut off the blood circulation. And that's until the person passes out. Yeah. So that's why you place it on a carotid artery. At no time did they tell you they didn't even teach us to put a knee in a back.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I'm kind of a little baffled how they even got up into that region. Now, sometimes I see if there's a scuffling going on, you will shift your position, but you got to be mindful of that. But when you got 4 officers, you got 3 to 4 officers there, one in each quadrant of the body, from the lower leg all the way up to the neck. You shouldn't be nowhere near their neck.
When you got 4 guys on one, you probably shouldn't do that at all.
Charlie, back in the day, carotid control helped me. I was a 5'9", 160-pound cop back in the day, 19, 20, 21 years old. Carotid control was very helpful. Kauai, we had 8 cops back then. You had your backup 20 minutes away. Today you got all these you got the taser, you got pepper spray. We had chemical mace, Charlie. Remember that? You shoot no offense to the Samoans, but you shoot a Samoan with chemical mace, they laugh.
They do.
The pepper works. But so the technology today, carotid works well. It's right here. It's not here. It's here. And I remember, Charlie, I don't know if you guys had to go through the training, but they actually apply the carotid on you so you can feel yourself falling asleep, and then they let it go. The blood flow gets back to the brain. You're wide awake. So it's a great tool. like Charlie said, in certain circumstances where there's a scuffle, you may end up having the wrong arm placement, but you train for that, and you know. But again, today you got all those extra tools. You know, there was no need to apply that pressure.
Mel, the guy was, you know, for all intents and purposes, the guy was in a controlled position.
Absolutely.
Whenever you got somebody in a controlled position, there is no need to put your knee on their neck already.
Absolutely.
He's in control. Because number one, his hands behind the back, he's handcuffed, he's in a controlled position. There is nothing that he can do with his upper body to hurt you. That's why when you put a restraint on each part of their body, it's to prevent you from getting hurt. And like I said, if you really are up to your self-defense, there's no need to put your knee on the guy's neck. Just step away from the body. He cannot hurt you anyway, right? And you still have control of him, because that's why cops will always say, okay, bend your knees, we're gonna roll you over. Because why? People have a hard time getting up from their position when they're on a supine position with the handcuffs behind your back.
Yeah.
You have very, very hard times. You gotta bend your knees, roll you out, and we gotta help you out. So unless this guy is like a ninja kung fu guy that can just jump up from the ground and back you in the face, that ain't gonna happen.
Okay, Mel and Charlie, I have another question. How many guys, let me put it this way, of all of your times in the service and all the things and the calls you get, how many people's lives do you think you've saved? This is a number that I wanted to get in my floor speech, but everybody said, oh no, you can't figure out those numbers. Is there any way that there's any estimation of half of your calls are breaking up domestic, or a quarter of it is, or chasing? Because I mean, what you guys are out there doing is saving lives. And the way I said to the caucus, Bob, I think you were just coming in at the time. It's good when you see a blue light when you're driving, because it makes people pay attention to their speed. It's good. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
By the way, they've really been tagging people lately on by the airport, because the traffic's thinned out, and every time you go by there, the airport, the HPD, well, they doubled. It was in the paper. They doubled their normal amount.
So they're speeding, you mean, Bob? You mean they're speeding?
Yeah. Yes, speeding.
Yeah.
So you're really aware of it now.
I think to quantify how many lives we save, it's very hard. And I think Mel will attest to the fact, on Maui, we know that certain beats that you're assigned to, because you have permanent beats for the senior officers, you may get assigned to a beat that hardly gets any cases. So unless you do a crossover, you probably won't get that number that you're looking for. Then you have those who are just assigned to a really busy beat. And so that would be like, say, someone who's in a beat that's closest to the police station, that they take a lot of walk-in calls. But what you're looking at is someone out there that's actually saving a life, whether it be a emergency call, domestic call, or abuse call, a fight in progress, that type of call. It'll be hard to quantify that right now.
But the fact that you're peacekeepers and people are stressing the violent side versus, hey, you guys prevent so much violence by your interventions. Okay. Anyways, that was on my mind.
It's almost like trying to figure out how many lives the lifeguards save. I know when I was on a council, we always recognized lifeguards when they saved a life. But you know, like a police officer, you show up at a scene and you're able to stop the abuse, stop the violence. It's hard to say how many, that person that the lifeguard told not to go in the water because of the rip current, not to go in the water because of the condition, that person is a potential saved life, because had he gone in, he could have drowned. So it's very hard, because you get inserted into these situations as police officers, when it's already at a bad point. Nobody calls the cops because they're having a good day. So it's very hard to say. You get there at the right time, you're able to stop the abuse. Yeah, it's really hard to say, but it's definitely a lot. That's why I say, I love our men and women in blue. I respect them, because that's a tough job, a very, very, very tough job in and of itself. Now you add this media pounding on them and constantly showing the stuff. I remember watching one cop on the news helping, getting out of his police car to help someone get across the street, or every so often you'll see these snippets on Facebook, but you'll never see it in a freaking newscast. All of these good things that these wonderful cops are doing out there to help people, to help the youth, stopping on the side of the road, feeding the homeless person, but someone was able to catch him on a phone, on a Facebook Live. But the media don't pick up on that. They don't, and that's what frustrates me. There's so many more good things these cops are doing out there for the public, and I'm talking about here in Hawaii as well, that just does not get the publicity that it should.
So did Bob give you the prognosis that the bill was going to pass, or that it was going to be held or failed? It isn't gone out of wham. Bob, where is it? It's still in committee, right?
We don't know, right? It hasn't
He
come.
said he lost it. He lost track of it.
We should have come to the floor, and it was we were talking about today. It should have come to the floor, and it didn't. So this Ballard came out against it, right? In that
On page, yeah.
Yeah, and Mel and Charlie, you can see this is where the police chief plays politics. Earlier and I want to say an amateur playing politics, because earlier in the year the committee chairs got her out for a press conference to support all the Second Amendment, anti-Second Amendment bills. And I mean, we want a stool specimen for you to buy ammunition now. I mean, it's ridiculous. But they got her out to stand with the committee chairman, and the leadership were pushing these bills. So she became a politician at that moment. I was really upset, not because of her position on the bills, but because she entered politics and she got out there with the real politicians. So now they forgot about that, because she doesn't want this bill, but they forgot about that. They forgot the favor that she did.
Well, maybe it'll stall, Bob. Maybe,
Well, maybe,
you know,
maybe.
there was night.
You know, what she needs, you know, having served on the Kauai Police Commission for the years that I have served, I can tell you this much. When it comes to the police chief and the deputy chief, I always told, especially for most of my tenure on the commission, I was either the vice chairman or the chairman. I always made a statement, and the statement was, our job is to protect the police chief until such time the police chief gives us a reason not to protect him. We do the hiring, we do the firing. If the chief goes out on a limb and starts playing this political role, it's the commission that has to wrangle that chief back in and bring him back in and says, you know, that is not your position. Your position is to run the police department. Your position is not to play politics. So someone from the commission needs to go and tell.
Charlie, how much power has the police commission got, actually? You were the commission, you're a commissioner, right? How much power they get?
Well, put it this way. I was involved when we filed a lawsuit against Mayor Bernard Cavallo, and we took it up to the Hawaii Supreme Court to determine who had power over the police chief. And by a vote of 3-0, we won, stating because if we are tasked with hiring and firing the police chief, that's a level of discipline. What management is saying that, oh no, but if there's something in between, we discipline. How can you get from point A to point B if we're not involved with that? You just cannot leave us with the hiring and the firing. We're in charge. So that's why, and the way the charter is written, it clearly states what our powers are. And at that time, they try to circumvent those powers. We brought it back in line, and the Supreme Court found in favor of the commission. So that's why we have to, you know, like I'm saying, whatever the charter says for this police chief and the commission, if she starts going outside of that boundaries, they're the ones that could discipline her. They're the ones that got to wrangle her back in.
So can you keep the names of police officers based upon, I mean, if there's a particular issue, can you, by virtue of the charter or the commission's power, saying, oh no, we're not going to release those names because it was not a serious enough offense? Or does the state law trump everything? And if that's the case, a commissioner's got no say whatsoever.
Yeah, if I would say if it's a state law, then it will trump the commission's the rules and regs of the commission, because everything is based on three facets. The police department has a police chief, its employees, and the police commission. That's the triangle right there. And that's how everything goes hand in hand. So right now, with regards to the police chief, it is the police commission that's kind of like the overseer of the police chief.
Bob's on judiciary. Are all the commissioners for that bill, Bob? Are they all against it? You followed it closer than I have.
I'm not on anymore. My point was, I'm not on Judd anymore, Gene. But my point
it's still Cynthia is. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, my point is, she was out in uniform and it was partisan. It wasn't a nonpartisan press conference. It was partisan, which is problematic. And whether you agree with the content of the measures or not, it was a whole package of bills. And with the chief's stamp of approval with that blue uniform, how do you vote against it? You may be an officer and you don't like it. One of the bills was to cap the magazine at 10 rounds, right? And so there's thousands of magazines in the state that are 20-round magazines. So how do you deal with that? The point is, she endorsed it in uniform, and that is problematic.
92F is still there, and I think Bob, you talked about it earlier. I mean, you can really damage officers by releasing the names. I think there's certain. I think if it rises to the level where it is basically a need to know for the community's safety, and but that's a fine line. I think that I don't see the problem as it currently exists, but we'll see what happens going forward. Kauai was really interesting, and I know we're at the half hour already, and we want to get to the meat of this meeting or this show. But on Kauai, the mayor felt that he had the right to discipline the chief. He was poorly advised by the county attorney at the time and told him, "Yeah, you're the CEO. You control it all. I don't care that they have." And I was on a council at the time, so I'm well aware of that lawsuit because we discussed it in length and detail. But the county attorney basically said, "You're the CEO. You have the right to discipline everyone." And the police commission said, "No, we are, like Charlie said, we hire and fire. So you cannot have the mayor come in between and do discipline." No, it's anyway. I'm glad that the commission at the time under Charlie's leadership as a chair filed the lawsuit. It was a tough thing to do, but the Supreme Court ruled, and there it is. Maybe it's time that our police chiefs get elected.
Yeah.
Oh, that's provocative.
Then they answer to the public and not the mayor or the commission or whatever. I mean, hey, just a thought.
No, that's good. Hey, let's talk about the reopening. I know you guys in Kauai can't wait to welcome a fresh load of COVID virus back.
Oh yeah, I just bought a hotel. On Kauai. Me and Charlie went half, and we purchased a 1.5 room hotel, 1 bathroom. It's gonna be cool.
Hold on, the hotel we purchased, we bought in Honolulu. It's called Kipo
Yes.
The Kauai hotel.
Representatives, I know there was some discussion about the authority of the department or the health director during these types of pandemics. Can you guys share? Is that thing still alive, or?
Well, Gene, I think you could talk about that one.
Well, it's alive. It's a got and replaced bill, 2502, I believe it is. And the original thing, Mel and Charlie, had powers that were granted to the Department of Health Director. But in the version that just came out of the Senate is where, with the permission of the governor and the recommendations of the emergency powers director, can be validated. In other words, it's a mother may I. Yes, you have powers, but you got to get the concurrence from the governor, which in a way is kind of where I don't really see a need for the bill right now, because the governor's already got all the testing and all the mandates out. But the one thing that seems strange is that the anti-vaxxers looked at it as a way that Chapter 91, where you can make rules, they thought it was where everybody is going to be commanded to get a COVID vaccination. They kind of read it. I don't know if you've seen some of the really shocking kind of thing.
Yeah.
Emails went all over the place. And they're going to put you in concentration camps or sort of a camp if you don't do it. And if you don't get the test, you're going to get $5,000 fine. But if you don't go into quarantine, or if you break quarantine, you're supposed to get $5,000. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. But essentially, we're going to August 1, opening up. Bob and I have, as you know, written that plan, and thank you, Charlie, for inviting us on to be able to talk about it. We're kind of nearing the actual implementation, but I got a call from a hospitality worker, if you will, or he's got a business in the hospitality region. He's saying, well, are your laboratories going to be open on the weekends? Are we sure that this thing is not going to cost $150 at CVS? And are you sure? In other words, there's a lot of things because of what Bob has always said. It's not in writing. It's not a plan. We're still kind of verbally talking. We're going to do this, or it's behind closed door and nobody knows yet.
But Gene, let me jump in, you
Go
guys.
ahead.
Today was very shocking. Gene and I were on the House floor, and I said, Gene, because I'm on the House COVID committee, special select committee, and we had a meeting at 10 o'clock. And remember, Gene and I released this framework 6 weeks ago. And it's not covers every detail, but it's a framework, a path forward on page 4. And people can go to my Facebook page and download it. There's a link there, opening Hawaii again. And I was shocked because it's like this committee of all these movers and shakers, it's like it's the first time they're talking about this stuff. Well, 72 hours seems to be a good time. Yeah, they're developing a consensus around 72 hours. Departure testing, which we and Josh Green, and I'm sure you guys, we've been talking about for months. We put it on paper. Nobody is writing a quote unquote plan. I said to Speaker Psyche, I said, Scott, who's writing a plan? Well, the governor has some guys. I said, who are they? Well, so and so and so and so. Scott, we have a plan already. I mean, UH Hero did a great report, but it was very intellectual and academic, right? Data points, a lot of summaries, but no step by step. We did step by step. One of the things no one's talked about is on page 4 in ours is steps 8, 9, and 10. The employees, our Ohana who work in the hotels, who's going to protect them? They got to change hazmat gear when they go from hotel room A to hotel room B, right? So when Mr. Gill talks about they don't want to bring our workers back, we're thinking, Gene and I as Republicans, well, of course you got to ramp up and got to get up to 100%. But no, they don't want to bring them back at all. They want to eliminate housekeeping as a position because it's too dangerous or it's too expensive. So this is what we haven't even grappled with as a state yet, and we need to do it. So I'm just surprised there's nobody. Josh is talking about a plan. Josh is great. He's been like John the Baptist in the wilderness. He's the one who got the governor to finally get off the no testing to testing 3 days prior. I'm convinced of that. So,
and because he stuck with it. No, he did a good job. He's been the biggest cheerleader. It's probably he's got. I always said from the very beginning he should have been in charge of it, but then the inside baseball didn't allow that. Let me go back to 2502 for a second. One of the things I really don't like about it, and I'm not paranoid or I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's got funding and there's $90 million to do testing at the airport. It's nothing to do with the testing prior to people coming, but it's got facial recognition in there, Mel and Charlie. I don't think facial recognition in the state of Hawaii for this pandemic is called for. Basically, they want to have it so when you go into your first entry point at the airport, they get your photograph and then it tells the next camera where you are and it follows you. Eventually, there's got to be some labor that pulls you aside, but they won't do it on the first camera in the first place. So I feel very inclined to say, what is this big brother crap that we got to have all of this infrared stuff? And one of the things that I've found in my research on this, one of the 3 contractors that's bidding on this, which now is being decided who's going to win it, one of his biggest clients is the Chinese People's Liberation Army. And I'm thinking, my God, what is this? Bragging about that as a client is like, whoa. And it's an Australian company, which, as you know, Australia is really indebted big time to China. So I'm thinking that something has got to go with this Big Brother stuff, and it's going to come probably next couple of days to the floor, Bob.
Now, is this Australian company allowed to do business, or do they have a some kind of rights in the U.S. to do business?
They had one of their partners, and they listed Cisco and all that. And guess who they also listed? Huawei, the propaganda arm that's going to do 5G all over the world. Actually, Mel, kind of inside baseball, but I called the White House today and I wrote an email saying, hey, is there anything at the federal level that say if you're in buddies with the Huawei and your client is the Chinese army, the People's Liberation Army, do you have something that says this is kosher or that it's allowable or not? So the answer to your question, Mel, is coming, because I mean, look, I'm not paranoid, but we have to be circumspect about these kind of things. Just getting somebody who's good because they've got the best facial recognition, because the Chinese use it and they put people in jail because of that.
You see, I want to ask a question about the facial rec. I've always been under the impression that the facial recognition was going to be used, that once they got tested and once they had to go and quarantine wherever they're at, that somehow that program was going to be used. But I know right now, if you come to the airport and you go on the mandate on a 14-day quarantine, A talks to you with your A1. Okay, just use letters for now. You're the arriving traveler. You go to your place of origin where you're going to stay in your accommodation, right? Who's ever following up, they don't know what the hell you look like when you first arrive at the airport. That's the whole problem.
I know nobody's following up either.
Okay,
On Kauai, I gotta say, gentlemen, on Kauai they are.
Oh, I know Kauai does. Yeah, they're rooting them out.
100%. I don't like getting into an argument with Charlie, but not 100%. Some are slipping through, but I gotta tell you that there's a lot. We have the police and the National Guard. They go out and double check.
Well,
So
you guys
for those that don't lie on their forms, they put real addresses, they get checked. Those that lie get to squeak free.
Well,
No, but what I'm saying, how do they know what you look like?
They don't need to know, Charlie.
Charlie,
It's the honor system, Charlie. It's the honor system.
but
See,
for
the virus does not infect honest people. That's what they found today.
and it's go ahead, Bob.
Well, Kauai culturally, we know, is very different than Oahu, right?
Yeah.
We knew you guys are tight, and you Derek's did a good job keeping you guys out, and you're all doing. The only place probably has a higher sensitivity to you is Molokai with the Walter Riddy welcome wagon.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I'll ask you guys a question. I'll put you guys on a spot.
Go ahead.
The continental United States, many of the states, Texas, Arizona, Florida, Southern California, blowing up, crazy, nuts. It's like out of control. And we're looking at opening up in August 1. The decision to open up on August 1 came before all of these crazy spikes were going up. And as I'm watching the state at their press conferences and at their live sessions and the news conferences, it doesn't seem like they're concerned. The governor and the Department of Health doesn't seem to be concerned about what's going on the mainland. Their biggest concern right now is getting their process in place to welcome the visitors on August 1st. Are you guys concerned at all about what's happening on the mainland, and that in fact a lot of those people from those states will be making a run for Hawaii?
Absolutely. In fact, Mel, you bring up a great point. The press conference the governor had, he had 30 guys there with him at the airport, including your wonderful state senator, to pick a date. They finally picked a date. It took 30 guys. You could tell by their comments they didn't have a plan, a sequence of order. What you're talking about is the same thing Gene and I are talking about. Protect the local people. Our folks are going to go to Vegas. They're going to travel. They got to get tested too. But we got to protect our local ohana. And that's why you got to get tested before you come here. So I don't know if they're going to be ready in 30 days, to be honest with you, because the lack of progress. I have yet to see a written schematic. I have yet to see a flow chart of how it's going to work other than what we put out. So yes, it is troublesome because we will overwhelm our ICU capacity within 2 weeks.
Let me ask you a question real quick, both Bob and Gene. Now, given the fact that the EU has put the block, right, on all U.S. travel to them.
Yeah, no Americans.
Yeah, do they know something that we in Hawaii don't know?
It's Mel's question. Hey, we're breaking out all over the place in America. And in fact, Mel, what it does, it tells what Bob and I are saying we've got to do. It kind of just, well, we're breaking out. Therefore, we got to test these people before they come in. But what it also is saying is that, hey, guys, masks work. Social distancing works. You don't pay attention and look what can happen. In a way, it's kind of good that they're seeing and realizing that, hey, this thing isn't over with. Let's let it play itself out. Let's put our mask on Let's keep our social distancing. Schools are going to open. A lot of soccer moms are going to be very concerned when they open on the, what is it, the second week of August. It's going to, or the 4th of August. It's going to be very serious.
But what Mel brought up before, I think we have a blessing with the Governor Ige. He's very methodical, so he moved very slowly. Initially, Mel and Charlie, I can tell you, he was willing to accept this scenario. It's a virus, it's a risk, we're gonna have to live with it, because that's what Dr. Park and Dr. Anderson tell me. So testing is worthless. And that was the path they were on. And we said, we're an island. We can keep these people out, right? You get a test, you come free, or you come see us, but we can control who comes into our state.
Well, Barb, that's still a big variable. Park and Anderson still have got a lot to say about how this, there's $90 million to do different kind of screening and other sorts of things. They got a lot of power and influence. So I wouldn't count them out in terms of maybe even delaying certain things.
So Gene was in a special committee today. They were talking about, well, once this money's released, we can go get some of those rapid testing machines. Gene and I have already put an inquiry into the company and got a price, which is now half. It's $2,500 now. It used to be $5,000. And they said, but don't bother. We can't give you any till November. And that was at that point. So we already inquired about buying 4,000 of them. And they said they were chock full, right? So that
Bob, you're talking about the Abbott ID now? The Abbott,
the Abbott test.
Now we're also in touch with the Israeli breathalyzers. 90 seconds, you get the results. This is
that would be ideal.
That's coming in a few weeks. We're going to have a show and tell with Lieutenant Governor Green shortly.
Why don't you explain that to? I don't know if Charlie and Mel are aware of that. It's
have you guys heard of the breathalyzer?
I just saw that.
I mean,
some country in Venezuela, you just blow and you get 30 seconds.
You remember when you did the DUI with these guys?
They pulled over a lot of guys.
Hey, blowing. Well, this thing is a blowing the thing, and I think it's like $6 to $10. It's very cheap, very quick. 90 seconds. It has passed the FDA Israel, and now it's in the FDA USA. If that, Bob, is actually as it's been made out to be, and through Sam Kong, we've got the actual guy who's the local former IBM guy. If that's the case, this is a game changer, guys. This is going to entirely change the whole world if it works, in fact. You got something so innocuous, not sticking the thing up in your nose through your brain, which, Bob, you had
I'm sure there's a lot of companies right now racing to find that test
big bucks.
that. And because it's going to be worth a lot of money. But I mean, we have a state that actually believes that, committing on a form that's saying I will stay in quarantine is sufficient. And I think we got to be very careful. I listened to, I think it was KITV today or it was a Star Advertiser. They had a live thing with the governor, and we still don't have the plan locked down. We still do not have the questions about what happens if the visitor cannot get the test results in time. What about the children? There are states up there that will not test a child. And what are they going to do with those kids that come into Hawaii? The whole family now got a quarantine. They don't have the answers. They're still working on it. Yes. My whole position, gentlemen, was before we set the date, we got to set the process. See, because this is not a virus that you can just say, we'll deal with the consequences because we got to open. It's like a business when you get all your flowers and your entertainers and, oh my God, the container never come in with the inventory. No problem. Let's go forward with the grand opening because we booked all these people. This is a different thing. Yeah, people die with this one. Yeah. And that's why I'm so concerned that we picked a date before we had the process in place. Now we know the date, and that date is going to happen. It's like 4th of July everywhere on the mainland. Things are blowing up everywhere.
Well, either what you're saying is true, or there's guys behind the scenes who are not showing what is being done, and it's not being very transparent. But we've got to be able to do that stuff on August 1. If we're not, we're fooling ourselves. Because the bottom line is this is what Bob started out with, what we did 2-3 months ago. If it's safe, they will come. If it's not safe, they won't come. And all these things have got to be in place. Whether you've got kids that are 5 years and above that can be tested. Josh Green, I think, is looking at that one right now. How it's logistical. We said there should be one hotel for the ones who are going quarantine. But our sense is anybody in their right mind is going to get $50 or $75 test at CVS or Walgreens rather than go for 2 weeks and a few $1,000s isolated in a 14-day hotel room.
This,
Doesn't make sense.
this is what I'm kind of scared of. If we're looking at finding out a hotel that can actually store people for the period of time when they're in quarantine, you are basically looking at an operation like HFD hazmat. And you know how long they had to go to school just to learn that. We're taking a situation, throwing it on a hotel and expect them to, like in lickety split, do it like that. I don't think it can be done. So the thing is, this is not one of the situations that say, okay, we made a few mistakes, but we're gonna keep on tweaking it until we get it right. But the thing is, as you do that, so many people get involved. You know, the train, so many people getting infected along the way. That's the problem I see. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why the governor can't see that if you're gonna come in, it's like going into a Lion King. If you're gonna go in a cage and do your act with that lion, you better make sure you got all your bases covered before the thing attacks you. You cannot wait to say, "Oh, shit, the thing ripped me apart." It's too late.
Yeah,
it's too late.
Charlie, that's a good point. That's why we proposed that the National Guard run the quarantine, because General Hara has, just like the police officers, paramilitary, they're military. He can order people to do stuff, and they can get them down there and give them the training they need.
Plus, they have that biowarfare unit, right?
Yeah. So, and they get their meals in their room. They don't leave their room. It'd be a real quarantine, and that would also apply to our local residents who come back. I mean, the 24-year, we talked about this before, the 24-year-old, my son, half Samoan kid, he comes back from Carson, California. He ain't going to stay in his room for 2 weeks if he feels good, right? And by the way, he doesn't have his own room. He shares it with 3 other people. So that's the reality of why, right? We all have multi-generational families. So anybody who goes home runs the risk of spreading it to grandma. The kids, you know, the elementary kids seem to be very resilient to this. It seems not to affect them at all. So the schooling, they're going to do the enhanced distance. I don't think that'll be a problem. But as they point out, the quarantine is not a real quarantine. These guys are police officers. You're on the honor system. It's a joke.
And that's why we think most people are going to get tested, and it should work out. Again, the guinea pig is Alaska. It's going slowly. They don't have as much traffic at all compared to what we're going to have, but they're piloting it, and it seems to be working slowly but surely. So we'll have to see what's going on. But I'd love to see that breathalyzer in 90 seconds test rather than this.
How do you anticipate, because Mel brought this up earlier, before we came on the air, all the different airlines have said that they're not going to recognize the social distancing. They're going to pack the aircraft to the hill. So today in one of my posts, I was trying to ask an expert. I understand you have HEPA filters in the aircraft, right? To filtrate the air that's in the aircraft. The closest point to Hawaii would be the West Coast, which is about a 4-hour flight. You got 200-something passengers in that plane. The thing is, we know for a fact now, because look at the protest march. Not one COVID case from the protest march of 10,000 people. So what that tells me is that if you're outdoors, the likelihood of you catching COVID is slim. So when you got like a funeral or you've got a restaurant, everything enclosed, it's much greater of a chance of getting infected. So now they're packing the planes to the hilt, flying over here.
Well, you know, Charlie, one of the things that
let me just add is United and American.
Yeah.
Delta's still going to honor their middle seat opening, but United and American came out and said they're filling up their plane.
And look at the reality of that. You know, the margins for the Hawaii flight, because it's such a competitive route, it's a very slim margin. And basically, look, I don't know the airlines that well, but I know I've done it from my previous consulting with small business. If your break even is 60% of the plane and they make you social distance 55% of it, you would rather not lose money by not flying. In other words, not flying, you wouldn't lose the money. If you fly and lose money, what's the use of it? So I think there's an economic variable here saying, hey, if we don't fill the plane, what's the use of actually even flying? Because we're not going to make any money. We're going to lose money by working. And that's something where, again, the testing, if everybody goes in and they're COVID free, Bob, this is interesting. All these things coming back from 2-3 months ago that we talked about right now facing us. We met with Peter Ingram of Hawaiian Airlines. He kind of, well, leave it to TSA and other kinds of, leave it kind of off the front burner for them. But if they're doing that, no, they're breaking the law basically when they're doing that too. So there's got to be some arbitration there. How can they say we're going to fill it and we're not going to honor what are otherwise mandates?
That's the question we had. Was I thought it was a requirement, but apparently it's not. I mean, you just Google it; it's everywhere. They came out and said they're not doing it. They're gonna sell every seat, and that's crazy. That's why this option of testing or quarantine for coming to Hawaii, you mix that with the flights with the Uniteds and the Americans that are going to be filling up the seats. That is a recipe for disaster, a major disaster.
You are correct, sir. You're correct.
This is the thing that really pissed me off and we talked about this the other night. When the state came out and said that we're going to open up in August, we're going to come up with this plan, and I heard it from more than one person at the state level, and they got to take a test or they ain't getting on that plane. You remember that?
That's not legal. Whoever said that, that's not legal.
The governor said it.
But that's not legal. Literally, I went through all the White House stuff. If you buy a ticket, you got to get on the plane.
But to the general public, that's what they were sold on. And that, I mean, shame on them for saying it, but that's what they said. Everyone was like, Charlie and I was like, yes. Yet we had kind of figured it was illegal, but we thought they got around it somehow. Else, why would the governor say it? And then they come up with the plan, and all of a sudden it's pretty much back to where it is today, because not everywhere is like Hawaii. You go get a routine test. First of all, it's tough to go get a routine PCR because they're saying it's a PCR. They're not saying a breathalyzer or a blood stick. They're saying it's a PCR, meaning I just had it last week Monday. It sucks. Yes. But that's what they're going to be requiring. It's going to be difficult for these passengers to go get a PCR test, find a doctor that's going to give them a travel PCR test and get the results within 72 hours to get on that plane.
But
so
what Bob and I,
I could be completely wrong, but
what Bob and I discovered, in fact, Bob, maybe this is a little more bragging than not, but we're the one who got the green light from the White House, because they said as long as the guy's got a ticket, he's got to get on the plane. But if you offer him a 2-week option for quarantine, he can do it. But if he's got the ticket, you can't deny him to get on the plane because of Commerce Clause. That was something very strict that they pushed. So in effect,
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just I know, and it's just that that's what they sold us. The bait and switch, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, because they were saying we couldn't do it until Bob and I researched it. Yeah, it's like, well, it's not legal and other things. But I think it's going to work out because people are rational. They make good sense. They want to go. And one of the hoteliers was telling me that probably the guys who are the wealthier are going to start coming back sooner, not the ones with just the budget and the other maybe middle group, but it's the upper group. At least that was a prediction.
I think where we're running into the problem, it almost seems that way, is that there's a lot of comparison to Hawaii people when they travel and our mainland visitors when they travel. Because Hawaii people, how we find out about a lot of these violations, it's from the Hawaii people. They'll tell us that they're coming back, they're quarantining, and they'll send us a message like Melon 9 says, Charlie, we're 5 days into our quarantine. We haven't been visited yet. They're the ones telling us.
Oh, okay.
You see what I mean? So that's how we know that the local people are pretty much following the rules. But like here on Kauai, I went into the next town over early in the morning. I leave. Here's a whole bunch of group tourists coming to our big safe, equivalent to our Foodland stores in Waimea, picking up their provisions, heading out to Polehale State Park. And I said, well, but the slippery slope that the governor has put us in is to who are we to question these visitors? They may have served their 14. We don't know. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. not many visitors I know will come in for 14 days to serve on quarantine in one hotel
No.
and then fly back. So it's probably they haven't served their 14 days. And that's the danger of it all, because it's happening now. And I think that's why a lot of the local residents are getting upset. It's like, man, we've sacrificed a lot. And now they're just doing it freely right under our noses. And there's not a darn thing that's being done. And it's kind of painful. It's kind of painful.
Well, I think, the fact that, and Mel brought this up, and just a moment ago, there's no plan really, right?
Yeah.
And they were at the airport, and Mel, you have contacts that we don't have. If you know of a plan that's written, other than the one we did, let us know, because aside from UH Hero with their report, I haven't seen jack squat, which is problematic because we're a month out, and everything you're bringing up are valid points. Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that?
But guys, we got to open. We got 100,000 people sitting on the sideline, $17 billion. People, Bob, you talked on the floor. There's 4 miles of people in line to get food at the stadium. I mean,
Well,
I'm not saying everybody on this call is sitting fat, but I'm telling you, the people are hurting, and we've got to open up. We got to do it right, Charlie. It's kind of like ready, fire, aim. That sometimes we do that at the legislature, and I know the way we say, here's the opening, we're not ready, but we've got to get back into the economic cycle. Otherwise, we're going to be spinning out of orbit.
Well, I think
for my position, and please, I apologize if I made the wrong message, is I want to get back on track. I want to get our economy open, but because we're so limited right now, and I'm just thinking Kauai, KVMH, we've only got like 5-6 ICU beds. We're so limited. So it's that kind of stuff that, I just wanted, and I've always said this from the beginning, and Mel has been really my teacher, because when I say it with conviction, and that is, you're going to do something, just do it right. Don't do them half-cocked, and then we get into problems and we're trying to fix them along the way. That just doesn't work.
I think the whole world's experimenting how to survive this pandemic. I mean, we're all kind of making stuff up. Because it's unprecedented, there's a lot of ambiguity. And what I tell my staff, you got to tolerate ambiguity to get through this. But we will get through it. Charlie, Mel, look, we're going to get through this stuff. I mean, look, we're Americans. Know who we are. We are the group that's figured stuff out, and we're going to get out of this one. I don't mean to be pumping up, cheerleading, the kumbaya stuff, but we're going to get through this stuff. In fact, Bob, I'm hoping what we want to do 3 to 6 months afterwards, we don't even have to talk about it. But we've got to put this thing to rest. We got to push that virus into the ash heap of history so it doesn't come back again. But that means there's going to be a lot of discipline. And what our mainland brothers and sisters are showing, they don't want to have the discipline, and they're going to have to bring it here. And that's why our plan is what the solution, or at least part of the solution.
Yeah.
I think if you ask majority, right now there's a lot of fear because of what's happening on the mainland. Kauai, we just had a couple of pretty good sized clusters for us on Kauai after going a couple of months without a case, and then it's just boom, boom, boom. There's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of people want to, a lot of our friends and family work in the hotel industry. They need to get back to work. And I think the biggest, Charlie and I has been pounding the drum of doing it safely.
Yeah.
I just don't see that. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right that there's a bunch of these guys working in the back that are trying to figure it out. And it's just the lack of transparency leaves a lot of us to just either speculate and just be transparent with us. That's all we're asking for this administration, to be transparent with the people. What I'm seeing, and trust me, I watch most of these press conferences. I'm not seeing the energies being placed towards making sure it's safe, other than get the people in. And this is what I'm hearing, and this is straight up from a lay guy who's not in politics anymore. I hear this: hey, we're gonna do what it takes to get the tourists to come on August 1st. We're gonna let the planes fill up their planes. We're gonna let them come because we need their money. We're gonna test the ones that want to test, and the ones that don't, we're gonna quarantine them. But you guys in Hawaii, you local residents, you guys got to be careful. You got to take it upon yourself to wear your mask and stay indoors and don't go out. And you guys got to do that. While the tourists come and are free to roam the freaking place, you guys be careful. That's what I'm hearing, guys. Not from you. I'm not directed at the two of you.
No, of course.
This is what I'm hearing from the state right now. And I'm not looking at the comments because I maybe I'm so far off the path, but that's what I'm hearing. That you guys got to take it upon yourselves, and you guys got to be careful and don't fly for fun. You guys don't fly. The governor said that.
Yeah, he
Governor said,
did.
you guys don't go travel. Can you imagine if you go to Vegas and bring back that virus and one of our tourists get them? That's how I take it.
Mel, you've shown,
But
Mel,
anyway.
I've got to say this. You have shown exactly why the Mel Raposo and Charlie show is so popular, just because of what you just said. You're saying things that people are thinking, and you're putting them out into the universe.
But you guys, the two of you came out with the plan. I remember you guys came out with the plan and promoted that plan. There's a Kauai discussion group involving a bunch of Kauai doctors, and I almost want to kick myself in Okole for not sending it to you folks because I should have, but I will send it out tonight. It's a 2-test plan with a 6-day quarantine. The tourists come in, they take a test, they get a second test on the 6th day. If it's negative, on the 7th day, they're quarantine free. It's an amazing plan. Pretty much authored the studies and the numbers. All come from a doctor at University of Washington. I'll send it out to you guys tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. No, sounds good. Well,
I mean, you tweak it how you want, but we need to get that on the floor. We need to get the discussion. I can have the doctors there to have the discussion with you guys, whatever.
We'd love to chat with him, but leadership doesn't, and I think I can say this pretty safely, Gene, after our discussion today. They really don't want their hands on any sort of, the House anyway, leadership on any plan. Even the COVID committee, we talked about, look, who's doing this? Who's picking the ball up? I know you're not going to do McDermott and Ward's plan, but somebody at least bastardize it and put their name on it, and at least we have something. But there's nothing, and that's troubling.
You're right. He was signaling that somebody else is going to do it, or it's there. Or, you know, he sometimes can signal things subterranean. There may be something going on that he's just hiding. But it was generally the impression that if you had like, hey, well, this is not our particular Juliana right now.
It's up to the governor.
Don't get excited about it.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank Mel for having us on, and maybe a couple weeks we can regroup if you're willing to have us.
Well, especially after it opens in August 1, Mel and Charlie. Look, you're gonna, you know, if you got people telling you what's going on now, wait till we open up, and then you guys are gonna have really a circus of sorts.
I pray every night, and this ain't no lie. I pray every night that our leaders get the courage and the wisdom to do what's best for the people of this state. And I mean that. I understand everybody's working hard. I understand that we got to get people back to work. But I tell you what, we get a breakout or a blow up like in Arizona. We don't have the facility. We cannot put someone in a helicopter and take them to California. We cannot put someone in an ambulance and drive them to a neighboring state's hospital. We don't have that luxury. That's the difference. We're not like California and Arizona and Texas and all these other damn places that you know, they're contiguous. So you can get them. We don't have that. You got Charlie said 4-hour flight. I don't know what the hell plane he rides, but 4 hours, that's a freaking quick. That's his private jet. See, Charlie has a private jet that I don't have access to.
Now we know.
Gentlemen,
it's been a pleasure.
I'll get the plan out to you guys tonight, and we'll definitely need you guys back on, man. And it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Our pleasure.
You too,
Thank
Charlie.
you.
Thanks.
Aloha and blessings.
I know you guys got to run. Charlie and I are going to hang out a little while, talk story, but you guys can. You guys stay safe, most of all.
Yes, sir.
Stay safe.
Aloha.
God bless.
Aloha, God bless.
Aloha. Wow. How's that, Charlie?
Rapid fire. Yeah.
Huh?
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Rapid fire. You know, I tell you, it's damn. Look, everybody talking about private jets. New shirt. You know, the thing is scary, Charlie. It's scary.
The average flight is about 4 hours from here to California.
You know, one time I got on a plane that was little over 4 hours.
Yeah.
The typically
on the average flight is between 4 hours and 45 minutes, but it's between that time. But I haven't gone any plane longer than that. And not even if you get tailwind. And you know, and the last time I flew in a plane was pretty sad because the stewardesses were on strike. So the captain came by and he brought us our stuff, and he walked to the back of the plane, but I don't know why he was wearing his parachute for. You know, that got me scared.
Well, Charles, August 1 is coming up, man. August 1 is coming up real fast. I worry because, like I said, you know, I think the states they're committed to open. Our state is committed. While everyone else is looking at shutting down stuff, we're going to open up. And I only know that if I'm in Arizona and it's like blowing up and it's dangerous, it really is. And then, or if I'm in Florida, right now, round trip tickets to Hawaii is $200. It's very tempting to get those people from those hot zones. You know, even if we had created a map of hot zones, certain areas around the country and in the world that would require a second level of testing or what have you. But there is actually no talk about that. Not that we know of. Like one of the representatives says, maybe there's these backdoor discussions that we just don't know about, and
Well,
it could very well be.
that's what I've been saying. You know, it's sad because with politics, you know, while these kind of deals are being made, they forget about who put them in office. But man, when there's a need to get them reelected, boy, they kisho kole to high water. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, hey, you know, if you're gonna do it on one hand, just the best thing you can do, just lay it out. And like I said, Hawaii people, local people, we're pretty damn intelligent. We can figure things out. But it's when you play this hide and go seek, that's why we get upset. Because you're making us work to go find out the damn answer when, you know, you're not even giving us a clue where you guys starting off from. What are you using as a reference? What I will say is, and you said it, Mel, you know, for our viewers out there, the reason why we're getting a little bit testy and we're passionate in what we say, August 1st is right around the corner. We don't have any leeway. We don't have any room to, if things go sideways. I mean, look at us people in Kauai. Just with a few clusters, everybody is concerned. Okay, just imagine if we had the kind of outbreaks Honolulu had, and trust me, we are. Once this thing happens, 27 infections in one day, reported cases in one day, is going to be a thing of the past. That's going to be a common theme, and we got to get used to it. And I just, you know, the ones I worry about the most is our kupuna. They are the ones I worry about the most. And you know, Mel, every day I do my video, I'm always talking about let's take care of kupunas because it's not fair to them. You know, if we can help do our part, get them hunkered down, get them secured so they can stay away from this damn thing, then better yet. But you know, everybody, they got lives to lead too. And that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about.
You know, last night, Senator Kalani English had a Facebook Live, and I just happened to come across him while I was scrolling, and he had a really cool way. It was a Zoom, like he was doing what we're doing, but he opened it up for the public to join the Zoom, and he had people that could just come right in and share. We need to do that one of these nights. Just bring them in one at a time. You know, I want viewers and just have some nice short discussions. But anyway, one of the people, and this was all about the state, without approval or agreement of the county or even the legislature, opening up Hana Highway. They're opening up, and you know this, Charlie, you from Maui.
Yeah.
So the people are up in arms, like, hey, what are you doing? You know, it's kind of like the North Shore on Kauai. Remember when we had the K Beach issue, we had Chipper Wickman, same thing going on in Maui. But Kalani English was basically saying, you know, it's out of our hands. This was a decision made by the state Department of Transportation. So they're going to open it up. But there was a lady, a nurse from Hana. Hana has a clinic down there.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of the clinic, but it was probably the Hana clinic. But it was this Hawaiian nurse probably in her, I would say late 50s. I shouldn't say that because it was her picture was kind of dark, so I couldn't really tell. But she was obviously older, experienced. She was a nurse and she worked at that hospital or that clinic. And she said, "Do you?" She was telling Kalani English and everybody else, "Do you guys understand that we have a part-time doctor? Do you understand that we have part-time staff, that we don't have the facilities? You guys understand that when we work on patients that need to be taken to Maui Memorial, it's about a 3.5 hour ambulance ride with when pre-COVID, or if they're going to open up the highway. You know, you guys do these things and you're not really communicating or consulting with the medical community. But when you heard these people genuinely concerned about the kupuna, that's why when you said that, it sparked it. Because see, most of us, if not all of us, that's our concern. I shouldn't say all, because get some greedy jackasses out there that could care less. But for the most part, that's what we care about. We care about the kupuna, of course, our keiki, and those with immune issues, that if they get this virus, it could be a death sentence. And that's what we worry about. That's why we fight so damn hard and loud, because it doesn't seem that some of our decision makers are listening. So Hana Highway is just one example. What nothing wrong with Hana Highway right now being used for locals only. And I understand the businesses, but they're all getting ready, the state, for August 1. That's the priority. Not anything else, but get everything open so that tourists can come and spend their money. And that is what I have a really, really tough time with, Charlie. Because if we had a plan in place that assured our safety, I don't think there would be so many people that are on edge. I know because I hate to bring it up, but I got that little scare where, oh my God, I came in contact with somebody, I gotta go take my test. Oh my God, what if I get this virus? A lot of people are afraid of that, and this thing is invisible. And as we found out, we talked about it in a pre-show, the 17 people or 17 people at that funeral. It's just a funeral. People just went on a Sunday or Saturday or whatever, went out to go visit friends and family of someone that has passed away, not thinking about the virus. And that's how this thing operates. So we gotta be very careful.
You know what's frightening about it is understanding when Dr. T was up there, right? And I asked him the question, say, Doc, can you kind of like share with me, why is it that the virus will attach itself in a certain condition and not to another? And he said, a lot of it has to do with genetics. The person who's receiving it, who has the virus transmitted, if their system is compromised to begin with, they're easily get attacked. And I said, okay. But when we had these large marches and people were just wall to wall with people, not one person got infected. He says, Charlie, this virus will do what it wants to do. And so the reason why I say that is now you got 17 people, right, that probably met. This is the first time they met for a funeral. They probably stayed together for maybe 2 hours at the funeral hall, if that. And they were able to transmit among 17 of them. They were able to transmit the virus. I said, what's the chances of that ever happening? It happened. And yet we had 10,000 marchers and not one transmitted. Not one. Not one went into the entire mile. I mean, you look at how big, we saw it on TV. There was not one person that went into that march with a virus. So it's very hard to comprehend how it will attach itself. All I know is this: it's something as simple as a funeral can take off 17 one crack. Is it conceivable that, say, for instance, another funeral and it infects 31 one time or 40? Or better yet, you get a plane load of people coming in, right? 227 passengers in a plane packed. And just so happened, all of them get contaminated one crack. That's one time. What are we going to do?
And then that number, passes it on and passes it on. Remember this, yeah. I think people you contact tracing, so they'll contact whoever they can, whoever they remember, the guest list or whatever the heck, and they're gonna go out and tell them you got to come in and get a test. Now remember, we know that it takes 5 or 6 days or even 7 days before you
Incubate.
can before you test positive. You can go up to 14 days. So they may have that 17 people may have come in contact with five. So it's 105 people get tested, but they're not even through the incubation period yet. So and none of them get sick, or some of them pick up some mild symptoms. So we'll never know. But at the same time, those guys are out in the community. You see, people when these big blowouts happen, no one can explain where it started. How can you get thousands? Well, that's how it works. When you get that many people out there spreading the virus. So anyway, gosh, I did want to mention one thing. You guys, we talked about when we did the testing at KBR. Rhonda Morris modeled the face shield. I don't know if you have yours, Charlie.
Yep, right here.
We were able to get 100 of those face shields to Kauai. It'll be here on Wednesday. But the thing sold out inside of an hour. I think an hour, and we sold that 100 out. So we're selling it for $12. I know Dr. T sells it for 10. We obviously get some shipping charges and stuff. So $12. We're taking we're doing a waiting list for those of you that want to get one. It's $12. You can message myself, Rhonda, or Tyson Moises on Facebook. Let us know what you want. Venmo is the way we're taking the payments. Only Venmo. If you don't have Venmo, just message me. We'll make other arrangements. But it's first come, first serve. Whoever pays gets it. We're gonna have another 100 coming in, hopefully by the end of the week. So. But
Yep.
let us know. We're not going to order them unless we get 100, because I ain't going to be peddling face shields on the side of the road in Puhi. Okay. So anyway, Charles, any?
Well, I just like to say thank you. Love you all. And to my partner Mel, brother, we keep up the fight. If it wasn't for you, I would give it up. But I do want to share some sad news that for those of you that know me, my love for playing music, I've been for the last 9 years at the beautiful Kalaheo Steak and Ribs on the island of Kauai in Kalaheo. Well, this Friday will be their last night. The owners have decided, Ernie Honeyco and Caroline Fredrickson have decided to call it quits because of all the restrictions, and it's just not feasible to keep the restaurant open. And we are so saddened because we made a lot of good friends. We have made a lot of new friends, especially our snowbirds from the mainland who have now become like family to us. And that was the meeting place, same time every year. And so I just wanted to break the news to all of you that we will be closing. Friday will be our last night. So I asked Brother Mel, I want him and his lovely wife to come down. I'm going to treat them dinner. And maybe we're going to do a Facebook Live Friday night from Kalaheo Steak and Ribs. And that's going to be, we're probably going to do our Aloha show there that night. We're going to do our Aloha show.
Yeah, that's the other side of the whole coin. You see local businesses, because it is going out, and it's and Ernie and his wife. Is that his wife,
Yes.
Charlie? Yeah, his wife.
No, girlfriend.
Girlfriend. That's
Yeah.
what I thought. Does his wife know? Or he doesn't have a wife?
No, his girlfriend does though.
But the guys, they put blood, sweat, and tears into that place, and that's a great place. Good, amazing poo-poos and their prime rib and their anyway. It's just sad when you know someone, your good friend, and they just hung on as long as they could and cannot. And Charlie, I mean, you guys out there playing music just makes the night perfect. So yeah, it's sad, but it is what it is. And again, we're gonna see more. We're gonna see more because of this thing, and that's why we gotta. Gene Ward is correct. We gotta open up. I want everybody to open up, but we gotta do it safely. So
Yeah.
With that, everyone, tomorrow night, 7:00, same place, same time, and I don't even know who we get tomorrow. I don't think we have anybody. I gotta go scramble, find somebody.
Let's see if we
I
can get
wonder-
Dr. Carol O'Connor because let's talk about how this thing is spreading.
I'm
You
gonna
know.
ask Wiley Coyote.
Wiley Coyote.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Wiley Coyote.
And
join
where E Kupuna.
Yeah, we can have them both on tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Anyway, everybody, until tomorrow night, we love you guys. God bless. Stay safe. We will get through this together. Aloha.
Yeah.